All right, everyone, welcome back to another. So we've got with us today Dr. Rishi. Dr. Rishi is working in rural Victoria. He's had an interesting journey, and we thought we'll invite him today to motivate everyone, but also listen to his interesting journey in the Australian setup. Rishi, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm Hrishi. Raised in India, but then to study medicine, I went to Russia. It was quite interesting journey. So I finished six and a half, 7 years in Russia and completed everything in 2018 June. And I came here to Australia. The main reason is because my parents moved while I was studying in Australia. Fortunately, I had a PR because of my parents, so which was a great thing. Then usually when I came here, I was not knowing much about the process, but I had few friends who set up the ECFMG verification in within a week. So it helped me a bit because I was not sure where to settle down back in India or Australia, but then the family was here, so I decided to pursue my career in Australia. So in 2018 November, I took my AMC Part 1. I did around 4 to 5 months of study and I passed it. Then the second step via standard pathway is to take an English exam. So I did my first attempt in January, but I failed with with few marks less. So I attempted it in after 10 to 15 days, and I passed. Then the main thing started, like every IMG who goes through standard pathway is applying jobs. And I applied over 60, 70 jobs. Then I just stopped counting about it. At around June, July, I lost my hope. I'm like, okay, let's start for part two exam because this is very tricky. And while I was applying the random jobs, one of my friends told me there is a non-clinical jobs also you can apply in the hospitals. So I started to apply for non-clinical jobs as well. And in July, randomly, after around 8 months being in, not 9 months being after coming in Australia, I got a job in the medical record in one of the Melbourne's hospital. That was like a great success, I would say, because I was very happy. I got my first job, and then started in the medical record. So it was in electronic medical record where they were hiring few doctors to teach the locals how to use the EMR. Um, After I started working there, I had a good contact with few doctors who were IMG supervisors, and I came in contact with the HR department at the hospital as well, which was like an open door to me. So I told them of my story, and they said, "Okay, we'll try to help." And I applied through the yearly intake, and I had an interview, and I was knowing that this is the only interview I've got after 10 months. I have to pass this interview at any cost. So I was not sure because back in even in India where we come from, we don't do much of interview preparation. So I was fortunate enough while I was working in the EMR, I had few local grads who became my friends, and they helped me a lot. Like what resources, how to answer, what are they expecting as a RMO level, what are the expectations they are looking for. So I did prepare for around 7 8 days with the local graduate. It helped me a lot, and then I got my first job around after 13 months of being in Australia as a doctor. Then the registration, it took around 4 months and 13 days. I was counting each and every day because I had to get a few documents from Russia, and because of the translation and interpreter services, it was taking a bit of time. So I got my job I came here in 2018 June. I started working as a non-clinical role in June, July 2019. I got my clinical job paper in November 2019. So you can imagine around 1 year and 3 4 months. I applied. I remember around 21st of November 2019. I applied for my AFRA registration, and I got my registration on 24th of March 2022. So
What a journey! What a
yeah,
journey!
so it was
Yeah,
a quite of
incredible. That shows your persistence. Yeah.
yeah, it was. I mean, it was very difficult because when you have limited experience where you come from, it can get bit tricky. But I guess in Australia is a very positive country. You just apply, be patient. It can take 2 days, 2 weeks, or 2 months, or 2 years to get a job, but you will, I guess, eventually get the job. Whoever was with me, I know now they are in the Australian system, so it's not impossible. Yes, it takes time. It can be difficult, daunting, but to be persistent is the key.
Look, inspiring journey, Rishi. You've done really well. I
Yeah,
think there is a saying in our language, "घी सीधी उंगली से नहीं निकलता तो उंगली टेढ़ी करनी पड़ती है." I think you sort of bend your
yeah.
fingers, didn't you?
Yeah, it is I mean it is quite daunting because you come to Australia with, because back in India I was just 12th pass. Even I was not fully registered in India. In Russia I finished everything, and you are in Australia, you are at that age of 27, 26, and no job, nothing. Around 12, 13 months you're sitting home. It is quite daunting. But I mean, now I was very fortunate that where I worked, the people were nice, the supervisors were nice. They supported me in the initial 3 4 months. When we start as an IMG, it can take a bit support. You need bit support to understand the system. So it's very fortunate enough to have good people when I started working. But yeah, it is a quite of it is a journey, and I'm sure every IMG who comes, there is a journey behind it. So everyone has a story.
Yeah, no, brilliant. Well done. Now, I've got a couple
Yeah.
of questions for you. So, number one is that when you graduated from Russia, did you work as a doctor over there after graduation? And number two, what was the initial job that you got in Australia? Was it an intern, RMO, HMO? What was it?
Yeah, so I completed my internship, and before I came here, I had my registration certificate in Russia, so which means I was a registered doctor. And then what I did was I started working as an RMO, so PGY2. But I was applying for intern jobs as well. But I started as PGY2 RMO job in general stream.
Yeah, brilliant. Tell us a little bit about your experience in Russia. Where did you do your medicine? Did you have to learn any Russian? How are your skills of
Yeah.
Russian? The only word I know is spasiba.
Не часто. So спасибо, thank you. So Russia, it was around 7 years because I did work in Russia, and I did my degree verified, and I did my registration with the health authority. So it was a kind of big journey because I was just 17 years old when I left India. It was 6.5, 7 years course, including everything. So it's a quite a long time. Everything, the clinical years were in Russian. So 5 6 years back my Russian was much better than my English. And I do speak now, but honestly because of I don't have practice much, I have forgotten few words. But still, I mean, I can have a normal conversation. And when uh, I see the Russian names here, like the patients whom I meet, and I start speaking Russian, they're like, who is this random guy speaking in Russian? So it's quite interesting. But at the end, whatever we study in undergraduate courses is, it's mostly self study, because medicine is something you have to put more effort. Doesn't matter which country you study. But at the end in Australia, it's not only about study and knowledge. It's about how you learn the Australian way of thinking. The way of communication is more important than only theoretical knowledge. Where we come from, mostly Southeast Asian or the Indian subcontinent countries, are morely theoretical knowledge we focus on. But here it's an overall holistic picture where knowledge, the way you talk, the way you communicate, the way you present yourself, matter a lot. So it's a overall package where you need to learn a bit, but it's quite rewarding when you start working here. Everything which you put efforts, they it is rewarding. Like you feel better at the end of the day when you get a first job, and you see your name on the Afra website. It is satisfying.
I certainly think you're a good communicator. You've been communicating pretty well in the answers you're doing, and I think you're doing a terrific job. So no wonder
Thank
you've
you.
done well. Now, I've got a couple of other questions for you.
Yeah,
If you were to go back in time, say 5 years ago, when you first moved to Australia, and you're obviously had a bit of a challenging time applying for 60, 70 jobs,
yeah,
what would you change or what would you advise to new people who are applying for jobs? What should they do in their CV, cover letters, and
yeah.
etc. job application process?
So, because I mean, I didn't have proper guidance regarding the CV and cover letter. So, first of all, the basic step is you do part one and English test. After you are done with both, you are eligible to apply for a job. So start applying, but before that, make sure you have recency of practice, which means you should not have a gap. If you have a gap, try to do the courses, the CPD courses. Many websites available. Try to do some observership, just making sure that you are engaged in the medical field, though you have a gap. Good CV and cover letter are important. They because they are the ones which show what your skill sets are. So that's important. And then apply everywhere. Whatever you job see, you just apply and make sure you are following with the job. So basically, if you send a CV to some hospital, after a week, ask them what is happening with my CV and cover letter. I'm really interested, so they know that you are very keen to start working, because HR might get 100 emails, so they might not look at few CVs. So you just need some like an extra attention you have to give to them. The second thing would be, I didn't do personally a lot, but I think so. If you go and meet HR, might help. I haven't done that, but I've heard. But the key is you apply everywhere. Wherever you see the job, you have to apply. Because the first, I mean, we when we come, it's like, um, I mean, beggars don't have choice, you know. So where first job is very critical. Doesn't matter where you get it, the first job you go get it, work for 3 6 months, then you can move anywhere. But to get first registration is critical. It can take 2 days, 2 weeks, and 2 months or 2 years. So that's very important. The key would be CV and cover letter are also important.
Great insight over there, Rishi. I think that's absolutely right. The first impression you make makes a big difference. Now we are sitting in February 2025. You've been in the system for a few years now, and you've obviously cracked the system. You're now doing GP training. How was that transition into GP training? Tell us a bit about that for people who want to get into GP training and things along those lines.
Yeah, so I'm on the AGPT pathway. So GP training has various pathways. AGPT is Australian General Practice Training, which is funded by Australian government. Um, and GP is a specialty here. So back in our country, GP is just GP, where you complete your internship and start your clinic. It's here. It's a training program, and it's a specialized training program. The transition is quite interesting. So where I did my first 12 months was a rural hospital, in a rural clinic attached to the hospital. So I was doing emergency as well as clinic. Quite interesting. The first 3 months can be a bit challenging because you work in a hospital for 4 months, like few years, and then coming to the GP and managing chronic diseases like diabetes, hypertension, osteoporosis can be tricky. My plan was very simple. For the first 3 months, I was focusing on chronic diseases. With my supervisor, I told them that I want to learn hypertension, COPD, asthma, osteoporosis, diabetes, all those chronic, because that's the basic of any GP. And then, according to my interest, you know, the skin, when you start preparing for the exam, you learn a lot. The in the best part of Australia is the system is very protective. So whenever you're doubt, there is always someone to ask. Doesn't matter it's a GP clinic or a hospital. So the mantra is very easy. If you're not sure, patient safety is the priority, ask your supervisor, maybe after the consult or during the break or corridor teaching, so you learn things quickly, and it's safe as well.
Work things from there. We It's a great little piece of insight over there. We got in touch a couple of years ago about your journey,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
what made you reach out to me? How did you find out about me?
Oh,
And yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
that's very interesting. Actually, I was on one of the Facebook groups, and I saw your post that you posted, and that you came in Australia when you were after, probably after graduation, but you didn't take the AMC pathway. You were doing something regarding the research and how, what made you to enter the Australian system. So probably the viewers will have an idea about you if they go through that post. That was very interesting and it was fascinating, and especially I read that article, the post, when I was in that zone where I was trying to find a job. But then somehow I wanted to text you, but I think so the Facebook didn't allow. So I don't know what happened, but I wanted to text you, but it didn't allow me. So but I saw you on LinkedIn, and I'm like, this is the same guy who posted on Facebook few years ago, and that's how I messaged you. And then we came in contact, and I told you that your journey is inspiring. Like, it takes guts. It's not easy when you are out of medicine for so many years, doing AMC. AMC is also headache. It's you require a lot of practice, and you have to do a dedicated study for that. So that was very inspiring. Then that's the reason I messaged you. And you are into sports also. I love sports, though I'm not a player, or I haven't played much, but I love sports. Any sports I follow. So which is quite interesting that you have got intensive and so much of experience in sports as
Brilliant. Well, hope you're going to watch the game tomorrow between India and
well.
Pakistan. That's going to be a big game
Yeah,
tomorrow for the Champions
yes,
Trophy.
yeah. It should be quite interesting. Let's see.
Well, generally it's one way around. Generally, India takes a major share of things. But all the very best. Let's see. Hopefully, it's a close game, and
Yes. Yeah,
we cheer for the best.
yeah. It's a sport. You cheer for your team. You sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. It happens. You to move on.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
Lovely chatting with you, Rishi. Thank you so
yeah.
much. And
Thank you.
there's a lot to unpack, but you have a
Yeah,
tremendous story. There's a
yeah,
lot of motivation over there for
yeah,
people who are coming from different parts of the world, from India to
yeah,
Russia to
yeah,
Australia, and then now rural Victoria. From
yeah,
hospital to GP, you've got a very well-rounded story. So lovely for you of sharing your thoughts and
yeah.
inspiring others. We really appreciate that. And then if anybody needs help, please do reach out to us. As Rishi took a few years to reach out to me, but dear Durasta, well done, and lovely to connect with you. And Rishi and me also have something in common. We work in the same city, so we'll discuss a little bit more about that in coming episodes.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you,
Nas.
Rishi.
Have a
Cheers. Bye,
safe
bye,
flight.
bye,
Thank
bye.
you. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, bye, bye.